Okay, so here we are downtown. This is episode 4 of the Massive Amounts of Good Artist Series, and we're in downtown Minneapolis and about to interview the guys with Pert Near Sandstone. The idea here is we have the nonprofit functioning, which is the entity that takes creators and the creative process and puts it to work. You guys have seen that already work in what we've done in the past, and if you haven't, please check out the website and the YouTube channel, and you'll see that manifesting. But today here, we're out in the field. The idea is to data collect, understand more about the creative process and creators in their natural environment, and really learn and take a piece of that learning back to the nonprofit to manifest even more massive amounts of good. So hope you enjoy this episode and come with us, and we're going to check out Pert Near Sandstone. So
we had that planned.
Yeah, that works.
Dramatic entrance.
So why I'm here is I'm the executive director of a nonprofit in the cities called Massive Amounts of Good. And so one of the things we do, really what we do, is we take creators in the creative process and harness that energy and that musical medicine, if you will, that vibe, to do good in the community. Example would be is Revival 2014. You guys were on that bill. It was like Keller, Datapod, I forget who else headlined that one. But anyway, I digress. Charlie Parr was there. And so I took an old guitar from my basement and brought it to an artist who did a rendering of the Revival logo, if you remember that. And then we had it at our booth. Charlie played it in his set. And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep, it's coming back.
It was super cool. And we raffled that through the weekend for $3,000. So just kind of one tangible example of what we do. So if we're going to play with that kind of alchemy, one of the things I believe in is this piece, our artist series, is out with artists and creators in their space in the community, really learning and investigating how you use the creative process, how we can know more about that spark, that energy, that, you guys have been around for 10 years, right? 10 plus years at this point. There's something there. There's lives that have been changed. And I know in this room, we're acutely aware of that. And so this is us out in the field actually learning and evolving with creators in their space and using that to inform the nonprofit. So I believe it's practicing what we preach, not just here's our organization, here's what we do, but we need to continuously evolve with the people we work with and around us in this space. And what better place to do it than First Ave? With you guys at this time and space. Our last guest on this show, our artist series, which is on our YouTube channel, was Melvin Seals with JGB. And he talked about his vibe on the organ and that musical medicine and how he sees people cry and have a spiritual experience. We had an international jazz bassist, and we even had Big Zach, underground rapper. So it made so much sense to me to be here with you guys in this, if you will, 21st century bluegrass sort of thing here in the cities at this place at this time right before your new album, and dig in on what this is all about in a bigger meaning. So I guess I'll start off with, I would love to hear how you as a group utilize the creative process and create.
Well, just to comment quickly, what was jogging through my mind while you were talking was how many friends that we have that have met each other actually at our shows and gone on to get married and have kids and, invite us to play their weddings or, attend as guests as well. And it's like there's something about the music industry, like or at least bluegrass maybe specifically more so, I don't know, but it seems to bring out the bug. Love is in the air when there's like music going on and people are dancing and having a good time. So, I mean, I could kind of piggyback back on that statement a little bit and thinking of, for us, I think a lot of playing music, writing music as a group is to facilitate a party, like having a good time. Like really what we enjoy most about playing together is when the music is sounding good, when we're having fun, when we're getting that back from the audience. And facilitating just an awesome social event. It's being a musician is great in the way because you travel around and the party comes to you, so we kind of, I think we enjoy that element of being in the music industry for sure. Creatively, I think that comes out in a lot of our songwriting as well. We're writing music that's danceable and facilitates that experience as well. So anyone else have anything to add on that?
That's good, yeah. I mean, as far as like songwriting and all of that goes, we've got kind of a different collaborative way. It's a little different than a lot of other bands approach it because we have several like everybody's a songwriter in the band, and we all have a very different kind of approach to what we do. It all fits together when we get it together and put it together. But like Nate's kind of got an old-timey kind of thing. I come from a very different kind of background with music and all that, so I write my way and then we squeeze it in together, and it kind of goes again with that same like cooperation and making it all work out together. You know, like it's kind of a fun way to go. Actually, Justin, you want to say anything? Over there?
Do you think
Old
that?
Man?
Yeah. Do you think that has added to your longevity and kept it fresh? Or
Well, I think that Pert Near's longevity comes from what Nate said, the shared live experience and that collective sort of spirit that happens in the room when everybody gets on board and is ready to dance and party and just have a rip-roaring time. And I think that a lot of the longevity comes from that because people remember how much fun they have at a Pert Near show, and then they're like, of course you're going to go again, you know? And Boats and Bluegrass, for instance, this year was Tommy the Beard, who you may know and have seen him a million times at every show ever.
classic taper. Right,
yeah,
Tommy?
exactly. He and our buddy Frank, who's a ranger out in Yellowstone, they dubbed this year's Boats and Bluegrass the Boats and Bluegrass of too many cool people or so many cool people or something like that. And it's just like what it's become, you know. We just look forward to seeing each other, every guest, ourselves included, when we get together on a show we want to do and are into, which is almost every one of them. So, yeah.
So would you say that you write your albums, you guys have a new album coming out, thinking about how it will be to play it in that celebration mode? Or do you sort of craft your live show out of what you have and bring it to a different
Well, I think there's stages of that. I think that we each, write songs, kind of individually, thinking of it more artistically, creatively as that process on paper, and then arranging it. When we bring it to a band, when I bring a song of mine to the band, I'm really thinking of how this is going to be the best played on stage, live. Like how to arrange it so that it's going to be easy to follow. We can have people sit up or whatever. It's going to be easy to sing. It's going to be easy to jam on. Not making it too complicated, but getting the original idea across as well. So I think that's very important to bluegrass music, especially. I think it's like it being, again, it's social dance music. It's accessible to a lot of people, and to write in that is important, I think, for this genre of music. So
that's an interesting statement. So when you think of bluegrass as a whole and this sort of idea of celebration mode bluegrass, as opposed to maybe what else? What's another mode that's common? Would you say like the love song or the classic, like farm ballad or?
Definitely. I mean, yeah, like it kind of depends. I do sometimes write like this is just going to be fun on stage and fun to play and just jam with. But then sometimes, you don't even choose to write a song. It writes itself inside of you, and then you just got to get it out. And that's, we definitely have songs that we don't play often on stage because they're either, not depressing or sad, necessarily, but like, we definitely have those, yes. But yeah, I mean, we tend to have kind of a very various way of doing our business. I definitely have some songs that are like very personal, and that we've done as the band. We'll do them live occasionally, depending on the setting and wherever too. So, Kevin, you want to talk about some of your
about my whatever?
Well, I'll tell you, you guys collaborate a lot live, and I think that bluegrass sort of. That's a tradition there, but I think Pert Near takes it to the next level. I think of the Fitzgerald 2014 show where it was like everyone you could ever imagine. That you'd ever want, at least in this scene. Like, wow, and it's just that beautiful when it comes out in sound, too.
Yeah, there was like 20 people on stage that night, I think.
So rad.
I mean, our songwriting is really collaborative like that, and on stage, I think one of the things about us that's similar to maybe the accessibility that Nate was talking about, and maybe even the community building aspect, is that things aren't done the same twice very often, if at all. You know, we kind of approach even performing live as kind of a organic thing. That's, you know, somebody's going to take a solo, and the way that you're going to know who's going to take a solo is that the person who's leading the song is going to be like, all right, now, you know, you're going. And it's often, if not always, not scripted, you know, so it's pretty organic. And
yeah. And that word community strikes me, right? And, you know, I guess I'm kind of an old timer, but one of the things with Pert Near that I find interesting, and maybe this is also the nonprofit creativism side of me, is you guys have a community.
Yeah.
So here you are with this new album coming out, sitting backstage at First Ave as Yonder warms up, just cool as ice, like, oh yeah, here we are, right? Of course we're here. Now is what next, right? And where do you steer that community? Is it about growing it? Is it about sustaining it? Is there a mission there? So much is mission oriented, you know. Right now.
I mean, I think for us the mission is to figure out how to be able to do this together with our community as long as possible, and some of that does mean figuring out how do you create new opportunities. How do you maintain some of the traditions that you've developed, you know, like our Winter String Band gathering and, you know, new things like the Blue Ox Music Festival. You know, kind of trying to find ways to expand the things that we love most about the opportunity that we have to be doing this good work in this great community. Yeah.
And I want to say, I mean, speaking of the community aspect, I really like to think about you know, the audience. You said it was our audience or our community, but I don't really think of it so much as that, as we're a part of that community, where it's there, and as are we. It's not so much that we're building it or growing it, but we're happy. We're happy to add and contribute to it as much as we can. And I think that's the important perspective. And we're so grateful in Minnesota to have such a great community here, and like and a long-standing tradition of that community, as Matt says. And, you know, I think that we would be doing this whether or not that audience was there, but like it definitely keeps us doing it and doing it as much as we can.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Absolutely. The inclusiveness and, you know, audience first kind of set, you know, certainly from a live performance perspective. And you mentioned Blue Ox. So creative process. Again, we're creating right now here. This is an interview thing. It's a microcosm of creativity, and you'll create on stage, and someone made your meal tonight. And so you guys enter this other realm of creating a festival. And I've done that in my past and have some mutual friends with you that do that. So I'm acutely aware of the beauty of it, as well as some of the, you know, tangible difficulties that come with throwing a legitimate party. And I was at Blue Ox, and it was a legitimate party. And, you know, and I'm an Eau Claire guy. So tell me about that roller coaster. I'd love to hear about running the festival.
Who's taking that one?
Yeah.
I mean, we were very fortunate to be kind of in the right place at the right time. 3 years ago, I guess, Justin and Matt, one of their first tours with us, I think. Matt's very first. He had been in town all 3 days, and we were like, hey, get your things. We're going to Colorado. And when we were out there, there's a friend of ours now, a very good friend of ours, who happened to be living in Colorado. He had brought his dad out to visit him in Colorado, and he's like, hey, there's this band called the Traveling McCurries playing in Telluride. They're a festival family. They've been throwing festivals, big country festivals, for decades, and really know what they're doing with that. Like I said, it's been our great fortune to have met them this night in Telluride, and the kind of light bulb went off, and they said, you know, we'd like you to maybe do a side stage at our big country festival. And we kind of talked about what that would be, and, you know, they had a certain budget in mind, and we said, boy, for that we could just throw a whole bluegrass focused festival and bring our whole community together, and, you know, be able to bring something to the Midwest, the likes of which haven't been seen in these parts, in this region. And it's been really fun working with them and curating a festival where we can bring some of the best acoustic acts in the nation, if not the world, you know, to Wisconsin, so close to where we live and such a part of our community. We've just, like I said, we feel so fortunate for it.
Yeah, it's beautiful to see Eau Claire grow into you guys too, right? And that idea of Up at Whispering Pines, and it's
Yeah.
kind of been a country jam thing.
Yeah.
And with yeah, well, you know, and that's maybe part of why I'm saying that, Eau Claire. If you're watching, check this out. This is what we're talking about here. A sacred,
Yeah.
beautiful celebration of music
Yeah.
that city gets to have. I can attest for that. Maybe not have any credibility, but you know, I digress. It's important to have that, and you could feel it at Blue Ox. There was a family vibe. There was such a good community energy of people just getting it. It's not just a big party, you know.
We totally try to make it family friendly. We want it
Yep.
to be like a co-created event with people that are there kind of creating their space and owning their space. And it was a real testament to the community that we're a part of, where, you know, the first year that we did this, as people were leaving, we kind of went up to the folks, the Bishels who own the land, and we said, you know, well, what do you think? Boy, did we have fun. And they said, you know, normally it takes us about 2 weeks to clean up after a festival. And I think it's going to take us about 2 hours. Like, people take their trash. People leave the place better than it was when they got there. You know, like, we, as a community, I think, like you guys were saying, people get it, and they know that it's a really special thing, and they want to help to be sure that it's done in a way in which it's easy for everybody to say, yeah, let's do that again.
Yeah, you could see a lot of college kids, too, that were working it. I was impressed to see that the community works that festival. I mean, you guys might book the bands and have the vision, but a festival's about not only the community hosting, right, but the community that comes together.
Absolutely.
And that was Eau Claire. And they showed out in a beautiful way. It was so cool to see.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. And then the other thing I would say, you guys explore in different modes of Americana music. There's bluegrass, but there's also the woo, right? Where that's this beautiful jam, you know, tradition of the cities being honored next to other sort of modes of
Shovels and Rope, Shovels and Rope is like the duo, the drums, and she just plays guitar. So, like, yeah, that's out of genre per se, but fits right in at Blue Ox. And we're already throwing some names around this year. It's like, maybe, well, we could try, you know.
Yes.
Scoop, give me a scoop.
Yeah.
Is there a scoop? Blue Ox
speaking
scoop?
of that, like, because it's a bluegrass festival, but like we definitely don't hold that genre specific as far as like how the stage and the shows are, but like it's very much a bluegrass festival as far as like the camping and the late night people playing music around campfires and singing songs and having like a good time like that. Bluegrass festivals are the best for that. People picking music, and it's just really nice. You can walk around the campground and hear people playing music all over the place. And there's also the quiet camping for anybody who wants to stay in the quiet camping as well.
Yeah, so cool, so cool. What a beautiful thing you're building there. I hope it lasts for many years to come. I think it'd be a huge loss if it didn't. Yeah, right on, for sure. So circling back around to the new album, right? Is it the 6th of November, I want to say? 4th of November? 4th of November. Okay, yeah, and that's coming out, and that, how excited, like, what are we to expect?
Oh, I don't really know what to expect. I'm very excited. We're all very obviously excited to have this one out. We've actually been sitting on this CD. We've had it done for a handful of months now, and we're and I'm really excited specifically for this album because there's a lot of really good songs on it. It's a lot of fun. We've kind of got a nice concept with our bees and discovery of honey and all that, and so even though again we wrote a lot of songs separately, they kind of do theme together. I mean, it's not like Dark Side of the Moon, but like, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of a theme to it that we kind of just discovered that was like, oh, this actually kind of works like this. So.
But yeah, so we recorded the album with Ryan Young, one of our oldest, dearest friends, who's, we started the band with, and as he for years traveled around with Trampled by Turtles, we're happy to have him sitting in with us again quite a bit these days since this album was produced. And, he's kind of a magician when it comes to recording music. He's got a great ear. He's got just a great taste and a finesse when it comes to recording. And he definitely added a lot of little accoutrements to the tracks, things that we wouldn't have considered doing that we loved, and it really added a lot to the album. So it is very much a unit, the whole album is, and I think we're really excited to get people's reactions to the new songs. We have this funny way of writing songs, recording an album, and sort of keeping it secret and hidden until
It's the Prince Vault.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Exactly,
It's the Prince Vault concept.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, I can say, shed a little light on the recording process.
Yeah.
My previous band, Pocahontas County, we also recorded with Ryan before he moved to his current Neon Brown studio out in Crystal. But it was fun to approach this process with Pert Near and like to have songs come at you from every songwriting angle in the band. Because my previous project was just me and Jake collaborating, my good friend and bandmate, on the tunes that we wrote. So we would create the songs and then we record them. We teach them to the band members and record them. And I guess that kind of happens here too, but it was more collaborative and more, there was more input coming, and then I felt also free and open to suggest things as well. So it was fun to record that in that environment with that sort of openness as well. So I had a lot of fun making this record as well, and I'm happy that a couple of my songs ended up on it. And that I can still have that outlet, even though my good songwriting buddy is gone in West Virginia and not around to collaborate with anymore.
Yeah, right on. So it feels good.
Yeah.
So what is the discovery of honey, right? Is it? I couldn't help, you know how as an outsider, I already had a narrative. Like, it was like, okay, discovery of honey. So they've been around for like 10 plus years. So now all these things have happened and they're back to what feels good. And they're rediscovering this honey that is this musical spirit that they had previously lost, but now are together.
That's a good analogy. There's probably 10 more analogies you could fit in there.
It's a lot like our name, Pert Near Sandstone. There's one real thing that it probably means that we don't even really remember anymore, but it also can mean about a dozen other things. So that's what I really like about that too. We all kind of got into that. I think we were out on tour in Seattle or something, and like sitting around. We always, for some reason, go out for sushi in Seattle, and we were getting like contemplative, talking about what we're gonna do with this and all that. So, hey Ryan,
that's great.
Here, Nate.
Yeah, it was originally the discovery of honey was one of the potential or tentative working titles of a song.
Okay.
And I was wrestling with, should we call it that or should we call it the other thing? And just struck us like, why don't we just call the whole album that? And then all of a sudden we had B-art and we had like a theme and it seemed to match a lot of the songs, like in terms of like the narrative that you are thinking of, very much so in terms of this project, but then also a lot of the songs are. There's love, coming back around again. There's things happening there. There's courtship. There's birds and the bees and all that. So, so I think that's very much what it is. But I'm just that's my interest of it all.
Yeah.
But.
Well, was it? I love the name, by the way. I think what wasn't it voted like worst? You and Trampled were like worst name of 2009 or whatever.
Yep.
And ironically, two of the most successful bands, and coolest names. Because I think, right, you grow into your name. You could name it just about anything as long as you grow that beautiful energy into it.
It's what it becomes. It becomes a thing, right?
It grows its own identity, its own legs, such like this. I think this band has in a lot of ways as well over the course of 11 years. It's kind of become its own vehicle that we're just sort of steering keeping the momentum going and steering it along, but it's going. So, but Pert Near for sure. It's like we've earned nicknames and things as well. So,
yeah.
So I guess
it's official.
Yeah, it's a sign of endearment from fans or something. So.
Absolutely. So. I mean, it shouldn't be a final thought. It's weird that it's a final thought for me because it's one of the things I really love about you guys is the dance element, right? Like that is so cool. And your music's there, everything's there, and then there's another thing there that's so darn cool. I'd love to hear your reflection on what that means for the group and,
On the clog dance?
Yeah. Just, I mean, it's amazing, awesome when it happens. It sort of seems to evolve, different people at different times, and,
Yeah, there's such a rich dance tradition in Minneapolis with the Wild Goose Chase Cloggers. They've been around since the 70s. Justin is in the band there, and both of our wives dance with the group. And our first clogger, Andy, I just happened to meet him at a wedding that some long-standing old-time string band members from Minneapolis played, and we stayed up till the sun came up, playing music and him dancing. And a couple weeks later, he's like, I'm going to come out to your gig and I'm going to dance. If that's okay, I'll dance on a couple tunes. And right away, you can just see when somebody's up there dancing and the music is good and they see somebody dancing, it just makes people want to dance, And it's become like a really cool percussive element. And yeah, like I say, it's just got such a rich tradition. Matt, who's now traveling with us and clogging full-time with us, is another person that learned to dance from the Wild Goose Chase Cloggers. And, like I say, we met at a house party like a week before a tour we were going on, and he was on his way back from, the Ozarks. And I was like, well, 2 days after you move back to Minneapolis, can you go on tour to Colorado? And he was like, well, yeah. And, he had learned even more and developed his own style and stuff. And, what are you, the 6-time national jig dancing champion, right? So
that's a real thing.
It is.
You are that. That's awesome.
And so you see like Andy, who dances in a certain way and has a certain style and approach, and you see Matt, and he's got a different style and a different approach, and serve the same role in the band, but really are interesting to watch in different ways, because there's just so much from like a technique and style perspective that can be different even within something that looks so similar,
Yeah, I imagine it's a cool thing for the musicians too. The audience is watching that, but at times you guys are in that, like, whoa, sweet, and how that dictates your creative process on stage and things like that. Do you feel that energy from the guys when you're dancing?
Yeah, definitely, and from the crowd too. I mean, the crowd, you can really feel them. Just like Kevin said, when I'm dancing, they can't stop dancing, and that's what I feel like, and I definitely feed off the crowd energy for sure. They're often really appreciative and real nice to me. So, yeah.
So I'm interested in your process. So obviously, you have a certain mode or style of dancing, but there's the moment, there's the band, there's that song. How does that all, vibe into what you do?
Yeah. Well, when I dance with this band, it's often more like try and simplify stuff more than I would. I come from like the old time string band tradition and dancing to fiddle tunes and stuff, which we play, but when you dance to those, you try and put like every note in, and so it was a big step for me to play with these guys and figure out how to reel that in and make it sound more like a drum and background when I wasn't taking my lead, and it's taken me a while to kind of like feel that, but as far as like in the songs, certain songs speak certain rhythms, but sometimes the great thing about dancing is you can dance in a certain rhythm, but move your body in different ways to make it interesting. And so, even people who are doing the exact same step, can change how they move their body, and it can kind of sound the same, but then it's just that additional element, I think, brings a lot. And that's something I think about a lot when I'm dancing.
Wow, so amazing. Thank you for the art that you bring to the world, man. It's such a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
So for me, my whole perspective on the clogging initially was like, well, it's kind of cool. It adds like an element to the show, but I never really appreciated the sonic element of it when, at first, until it was actually not long ago where I had my iPod on shuffle, and on comes this string band, and I'm hearing it, and like, oh man, they got a good sound. They have a drummer too. That's really interesting. And then Kevin started singing. I'm like, oh, that's my band, and that's all right. So at that point, I realized like, oh, it actually is adding a lot to the music, and I've had the utmost appreciation for it as like a part of our sound, like a central element of the sound at times.
Yeah, the sound piece.
Yeah.
There's definitely the presentation piece, but that sound piece is so big. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. So
Well, fellas, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Minnesota is proud on you, as you know, and this is our fourth episode of the Artist Series, and each one has been a little tweaked and different. And this is the first time I've actually been out visually meeting with folks, and it's just so amazing, and so thank you for what you put out into the world. I hope that everybody watching appreciates the artistry. Thank you, Tim, as well, the artist behind the camera as well.
Thank you.
So much creative process happening everywhere. It's amazing to be inside of it here at First Ave tonight. So thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.